You have eaten dinner wrong your entire life, and by 3 p.m. tomorrow, if you make one change, you will feel what this mistake cost you. You wake up tired in ways that sleep does not fix. You eat a meal and feel heavy for hours. You lie down at night exhausted, but your mind refuses to stop. And you reach for coffee at 3 p.m., not because you enjoy it, but because you will not make it through the afternoon without it. These are not random complaints. 5,000 years ago, an observational system of medicine mapped this exact biological misalignment. This system, Ayurveda, recorded its findings in intricate, methodical texts long before the concept of a modern hospital existed. Today, modern molecular science is finally catching up. In labs and clinical trials, researchers are documenting the exact biological mechanisms ancient physicians mapped millennia ago. Constant fatigue is the logical result of operating your body against its natural biological architecture. In Ayurveda, the body relies on a digestive intelligence called Agni, the metabolic fire. Agni follows the solar cycle. When the sun reaches its absolute peak at midday, your digestive fire is at its strongest and most efficient. By the time you sit down to your largest meal of the day at 8 o'clock at night, that fire has already wound down. Food that meets a dying fire cannot be properly transformed into energy. It becomes undigested residue, what Ayurveda calls ama. Modern science has a different name for this exact mechanism: chrononutrition. This 24-hour circular arc shows your body's internal clock. Right here at the 12 o'clock peak, liver enzyme activity, bile acid production, and insulin sensitivity all reach their maximum capacity simultaneously. Tomorrow, take the heavy meal you usually eat at dinner and eat it at noon. Keep your evening meal light. Aligning your caloric intake with the sun maximizes your body's chemical capacity to process food. Instead of forcing your stomach to work overnight on a job it should have finished by 2 in the afternoon, you are likely already trying to do the right thing by adding turmeric to your diet. For 3,000 years, Ayurvedic physicians prescribed this root as a rasayana, a substance meant to rebuild the body at a cellular level, but they never prescribed it alone. In ancient pharmacology, every medicine requires a vehicle, an anupana, to open the body and deliver the active ingredients. For turmeric, that vehicle was always black pepper. Without that vehicle, taking turmeric is biologically useless. The active compound curcumin has about a 2% bioavailability on its own. The liver metabolizes and destroys the other 98% before it ever reaches your bloodstream. But the piperine inside black pepper actively blocks that specific destruction pathway in the liver. When you combine the two, curcumin absorption increases by 2,000%. From now on, add exactly 1 pinch of black pepper to every turmeric drink or dish you make. Ancient physicians focused on these chemical catalysts to ensure the nutrients consumed actually reached the systemic circulation. Think about the last meal you ate. You were likely looking at a screen, scrolling a feed, disconnecting completely from the food in front of you. You might even be watching this video right now while eating. Ayurveda recorded the consequences of this long before smartphones existed. Its first rule of eating is undivided attention. Food consumed without sensory presence turns into that same toxic residue ama, regardless of how nutritious the ingredients are. When your brain processes digital distractions, it activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight state. As this graphic demonstrates, when the nerve pathways glow red in this stress state, the body actively suppresses the secretion of digestive enzymes. When the system shifts to a calm teal state, blood flow is finally redirected back to the digestive tract. For your newly shifted noon meal tomorrow, place your phone face down on the table and eat with total presence. The nutritional value of your food is completely irrelevant if your mind's stress state actively blocks your stomach from chemically accessing it. And then there is the midnight mind, the hour when your body is physically exhausted at 1 a.m., but your brain refuses to stop generating anxious, racing thoughts. Ayurveda diagnosed this as an excess of vata, an overstimulated movement energy. To treat it, ancient physicians prescribed a botanical root called Ashwagandha, designed to rebuild a depleted nervous system rather than artificially sedating it. This data graph illustrates the modern biological mechanism, your daily cortisol levels. Under chronic stress, the HPA axis becomes dysregulated. Instead of following a smooth, natural descending arc, cortisol stays artificially elevated into the night, keeping your brain on high alert. Ashwagandha directly modulates that pathway. Over 40 clinical trials verify it regulates the HPA axis and restores the body's natural sleep rhythm. Stir half a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder into warm milk 30 minutes before you intend to sleep. True restorative rest cannot happen by forcing a stressed brain into unconsciousness with sedatives. You have to rebuild the body's natural capacity to actually feel safe. Before you try that tonight, there's one more ancient practice. For 2,000 years, Ayurvedic physicians prescribed a 3-minute nightly habit called padabhyanga to ground restless energy before sleep. The soles of your feet contain an incredibly dense concentration of sensory nerve endings. As this diagram shows, those nerve endings consolidate and travel straight up the central column of your leg and spine, connecting directly to the vagus nerve in your brainstem. Applying physical pressure and warmth to these extreme extremities sends a massive parasympathetic signal up that exact pathway. Your heart rate measurably slows and your blood pressure drops. Take warm coconut or sesame oil and massage it into the soles of your feet in a slow, circular motion for 3 minutes tonight. This pressure physically redirects the central nervous system away from the stress response and back toward a state of restorative safety. Tomorrow, shift your heavy meal to noon. And when 3 o'clock arrives, stop and measure the physical difference in your energy. That data point will belong entirely to you. Your own body is the oldest, most accurate laboratory in existence. We are suffering from the exact same misalignments that humans faced thousands of years ago, and the answers, preserved in these ancient texts, have remained completely unchanged. You do not need to invent a new cure for your exhaustion. You just need to return to the original operating manual we left behind.